years, lived under the most anti-Semitic conditions you can possibly imagine. A Jew in Poland in my time could not be a doctor, could not be a lawyer, could not be an officer in the army, could not even be a Boy Scout. And then when I was in school, I had to sit in the back of the classroom, and the teacher would never call on me or mark my exams. If you saw the picture, Fiddler on the Roof, and you saw the programs, those were current occurrences. The Gentiles, for some reason, whatever they decided once in a while, would go around burning Jewish homes, breaking homes, etc., etc. So anti-Semitism was very much brought into my life for the 14 years, and unfortunately, the scars of it remain. You cannot just completely wipe it off, but I did the best, and I'm not going to bore you with my whole life story. I would just say that now the good Lord has blessed me, and the remaining days of my life I'm going to spend in Shangri-La, which you people call Village on the Green, but for me it's a Shangri-La. And for me, Village on the Green or Shangri-La, it's not the decor, but the marketing tells you about the foods, etc. It's the people that matter to me the most. And I'm just going to give you 5 or 6 examples what makes me feel so good in my dying, resting day, shall we say. At one previous party like this, Diana Coleman got up, got the microphone, and she said, this was one of the nicest medical parties she's been at. Diana, I appreciate it. I loved it. I thank you very much for saying that. And before we moved in here, we lived across the street. Our villa wasn't ready. But we were allowed to come to play bridge, but we couldn't eat or any of this because we didn't have any money arrangements. Anyway, we're playing bridge, a couple, and they say to us, knowing our situation, would you please be our guests for cocktails and dinner on Valentine's Day? Gene and Bill Newsom, you greeted me here beautifully. I love you wherever you are. A few days later, I was invited to a cocktail party for the villas, shall we say. I came, not knowing anybody in the villas, and I went to the bar, I couldn't get a drink. They wouldn't take my money. Some complete stranger was standing next to me. The first time we laid eyes on each other, and he says, may I buy you a drink? Don Voorhees, wherever you are. We moved into the village. We were here maybe 2-3 months or more, I remember. And Colonel Jim Krajcik nominated my wife to be a villa rep, and he's done it every year since then. And she was even elected to be the president of the council for 3 years. The fact that she was Jewish did not make any difference to anybody. You were elected her president. Thank you very much. And just 2 more examples. I was in the hospital, Phyllis was having some medical procedure, and they told me she's going to be gone for about an hour or more. Go to the cafeteria and have a cup of coffee. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I go down, sitting over a cup of coffee. There's a tap on my shoulder. I look over, there's Bo and Gene Waters. I said, what are you doing here? We came over to keep you company. They must have gotten up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be there at 6 o'clock and keep me company until Phyllis came out of the restroom. Bless you, Bo and Gene Waters. And finally, somebody that I consider more than a friend or a neighbor, I consider him my oldest adopted son. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and Phyllis told me to pull the cord. I pulled the cord, the nurse comes over, and she says, I'm afraid we're going to have to call the ambulance, and she's going to have to go to the hospital. I called my son. Within 2 seconds, he was over. He insisted on driving me to the hospital. By the time we got to the emergency room, my son Mark was there already. So I said to him, you can go home now, Mark is here. Mark and I, he insisted on staying with me, and he stayed with me until we got a good report on Phyllis. I mean, people like that, how can you forget? So my son now, will you do me the honor and say a blessing, please? Basil.
What more can be said? What more can be said? Let's just take a minute as part of our blessing and put ourselves consciously in the presence of the God that created every one of us. that God that created the Christian gods, the Jewish God, the God that created Bernie and created Phyllis and the family that we see at the table of honor tonight, the God that created everybody else in this room, and that dwells within each of us. Hard to believe, but that's the God that we have. So let's thank that God for the life that has been given Bernie from some humble and perhaps dysfunctional beginnings to a fullness of family life and the expanded family of Village on the Green. And let us tonight be mindful of those people that don't have this kind of community and this kind of support, and also ask that those people be brought into the fullness of life and fellowship. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
So, one more thing. I'm in AB 90, so I can forget a lot of things. I forgot to introduce the most wonderful and important person on my table, my wife. For 61 years, she put up with me, she loved me, she took care of me. If not for her, I don't think I would have really reached the age of 90 or been successful in business, and definitely with all my traveling, I don't think I could have raised these two boys as wonderfully as she did. And we were fortunate just not to be in a cruise with him and watch her. They have a real true brotherly love. So I'm really blessed by having such a wonderful wife and such a wonderful children. And honey, I love you.
Now it's my turn to say one thing. I'm glad he made it today. That's the whole thing. Yay!
That was beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I'm sure have such a good memory.
Self-deprecating roast.
God.
But I like that.
Yeah.